Imagine what a successful growth strategy looks like. Very squishy question. But in the end, selecting your market, how strategically important is that market? I mean, I don't know. I'm an American, so I'm biased, but I know there's a ton of exits that happen in the US. So if you don't have a US client or some relevance to that market, I don't know, maybe you'll exit through an Israeli company or a European company, but I view that alone as being a good enough reason to figure that market out, to me. So payoffs versus costs, your ability to exploit that market. Are you in a position where you can actually do something about it if you figure it out? What's the total addressable market? Skills, speed of network, these are basic things. And we've talked about some different examples and how the maturity of the market also matters. And the more mature it is, the more badass you have to be about your differentiation and not just sitting in a laboratory talking about it with your smart colleagues, but getting out and talking to your clients in the market. Why to be global? I think there's a ton of compelling reasons why to be global. Again, there's some reasons why not to be. I mean, the biggest thing I like is learning the diverse needs of your customers around the world and baking that into your architecture. There's lots of other things. So we're going to move on. Being global, what does it actually mean in this era of COVID? Well, I don't think it means having to be physically places. I don't think that is required. But having a market presence, having customers, having a distributed team. How many people have 90% of their employees are in their office, their local, the office that they work in? 90%. How many people? So everybody put your hands up, actually. Everyone put your hands up that has a startup that they work at. Everyone that's working at a startup or a technology firm. Hands up, guys. And you too. You guys know? Okay. Yeah.
Is a technology company.
All right, keep your hands up. So if you have 90% of the people in your office right now, then take your hands down. Okay, if you have 70% of the people in your home office, then hands down. 60%, 50%, 40%, 30%. Okay, so interesting.
You mean home office?
Well, in one office, one regional office. Yeah, like a Warsaw, like a building, and you've got people there. Anyway, there's no question that dispersed teams are becoming more of a thing. And supply chains, so it may be that you're producing globally, like, I don't know, Target or Walmart. These guys are getting stuff from around the globe and they sell it locally. So they're got a global supply chain and a local sales thing. Your capital base, and what I think is actually probably one of the most important areas is the mindset. Do you have a global mindset or not? And a global mindset has relevance because it allows you to see things in the market, it allows you to see opportunities in the market. It also allows you to create a culture in your business. It makes you an attractive place to work. It makes people want to come and be a part of your company. So being global. So why be global? What does being global mean to you? And what will your global company look like? Why don't you guys talk to each other? Pick a person next to you. Talk a little bit about these things. For you, what does being global mean to you? And what will your company look like in 3 years? I'm assuming the global dominant law platform for XYZ.
I'd say, well, we want to be the #1 global management platform in non-English speaking markets.
Okay.
Which means
Global domination.
The #1 player in your category globally, of course, or 2 or 3. I mean, top 5. Let's say top 3 to 5. If you're not looking to become a top 3 to 5 category player in the planet, you should go do something else. Honestly.
The next 3 years, right?
Yeah, the next 3 years. Okay, the next 3 years. Okay, right. Okay, so lots of ambition in this room. Lots of ambition in this room. The fact that you guys are where you are speaks